Take tender filet mignon and pair them with this bold and savory sauce, and you've got a lean, flavorful steak dinner that's perfect for an easy yet elegant weeknight dinner. We'll kick things off with a couple tablespoons of olive oil going down into a skillet. Highly recommend either some cast iron or, as I'm using here, an enamel skillet for this. If you use non-stick, you're just not going to get a great fond. Got a couple really large 12-ounce fillets here. If you have smaller ones, you could use 3 or 4. This recipe is written to serve 4 people. Of course, we'll season them very thoroughly with fresh cracked pepper and a generous pinch of kosher salt, and sear them for 2 to 3 minutes in that olive oil, or until we get a nice golden brown crust on both sides. Once that's accomplished, we'll remove them and let them rest for a few minutes while we make this delicious tomato sauce. We'll add another splash of olive oil if it's needed, followed by 8 ounces of mushrooms, 1 bell pepper, and 1 small onion, about 1 cup of each. I'm using a white or yellow onion, but anything you have on hand will be just fine. We'll cook those veggies out for 4 to 5 minutes before adding in about a tablespoon of minced garlic. I'm using garlic. You can sue me if you want, but it was all out of the fresh stuff. I'll sprinkle in a little bit of dried oregano, about a teaspoon or so, and then use the moisture that's coming out of those veggies to scrape up any fond off the bottom of the pan, get all that great flavor into our sauce. I'll splash in about a 1/4 cup of white wine. If you're wine averse, that could just be water, but again, we want to make sure we get all of the fond off of the bottom of the pan. Next up, I'm going in with 28 ounces of really good quality San Marzano tomatoes. These were whole, and I used a little immersion blender or stick blender to crush them up in the can, but you could just use regular crushed tomatoes if you don't feel like going all out. We'll go ahead and bring this up to a simmer, season it with salt and pepper, and then pop a lid on and cook it out partially covered for about 10 to 15 minutes or until it reduces slightly. Next step, add your steaks back to that tomato sauce and turn them a few times, cooking them until they reach your desired temperature. I was shooting for about 125 degrees right in the middle for medium rare. We'll add in some freshly torn basil at the very end. Check that temperature. And you want to go ahead and get the steaks out of that sauce and let them rest to come to their final temperature. Finally, we're going to make some sauteed spinach. I'm going to grab a non-stick skillet and add in about a tablespoon of olive oil, followed by 2 bags of spinach leaves. We'll season those with salt and pepper and just stir them pretty frequently. They're going to wilt down into almost nothing. Once they've wilted, we'll add in a little bit more garlic for that nice spicy allium punch. Stir that around for 60 seconds or so, just to cook it out, and then we'll be ready to plate this up. Take a look at that steak. Wow, just perfectly cooked. We had a great crust on the outside, nice blushing, medium rare, not much gray band, meaning we didn't overcook the edges too much. I'm going to put some of this delicious veggie-packed marinara sauce down on the plate. Lay down one of those perfectly cooked fillets, fan it out just a little bit so we can see that beautiful pink blushing center, and then a handful of that garlicky spinach on one side. This is a great low-carb recipe. You could definitely pair this with pasta or rice or potatoes, but I really enjoyed it all on its own with just that really veggie-forward sauce, that garlicky spinach, and that generous serving of super tender and succulent filet mignon. I think filet gets a bad rap for a couple reasons. One, it's pretty pricey, and 2, it just doesn't have the same flavors like a sirloin or a ribeye. But when you pair it with a really bold sauce like this nice tomato sauce with all those peppers, onions, and garlic, really just works so well together. One of the things I really love is getting a bite of it with that perfectly cooked, sauteed, wilted spinach, that nice garlic forward flavor and the oil. Really tasty bite of food. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give this a try. Let me know what you think. And if nothing else, please go and make something delicious.